What's up, guys? Today we're going to be comparing the Galaxy S23 to the Galaxy S10e. So this is a pretty good comparison because both these phones are almost similar in size, but also this can be a downgrade as well. So we're going to talk about that as well too. So there's definitely upgrades here, but there are downgrades as well. So let's go ahead and jump into it here. Alright, so first off, you are getting a updated and more modern design for sure here, and I do like the design choice on the S23. Just having the matte finish, you don't have to deal with like the fingerprints on the back of the phone here. You also get an updated camera look as well too, and also for the body. So they're both small phones, but the S10e is slightly smaller, and they both are very light in the hand as well too, which is really nice. They're both IP68 dust and water resistant as well, and like I said, they both have those smooth edges, so they're extremely easy to hold. There are some very important hardware differences here. So down below in the S10e, you are going to be having a headphone jack on here. There's no headphone jack, of course, on the S23, but also the S10e does have micro SD card support. There's no SD card support on the S23. So those are two essential things that you're going to be giving up as far as the hardware goes. They both still have stereo speakers, which we will compare. But also, there's also something interesting going on with the hardware. The S10e has a physical fingerprint sensor built into the power button, which I absolutely love. I think it's really, really awesome that they did that. One of my favorite implementations of, getting into your phone. The S23 does have the fingerprint sensor on here as well, which I really like. It definitely feels modern and cool, but this just feels extremely natural to me, so I wish Samsung would bring this back. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the displays here. So the S23, it does have a 6.1 inch display, so it's slightly bigger, and then it's 1080p 425 for the PPI, HDR10 plus, and it gets a max brightness of 1750 nits. The S10e has a smaller 5.8 inch display. It's 1080p 438 for the PPI, dynamic AMOLED, HDR10 plus as well too. So you're definitely getting a brighter display. You're getting a display with slimmer bezels as well too, as you guys can see. And then you're getting a smaller punch hole as well too, and it's in the middle, which I think is better. But yeah, you are getting a smaller punch hole, and you also are getting 120 hertz. So I think the display upgrade is pretty good. Now, as far as the quality of both these panels, the S10e still looks fantastic. And again, this is like $20 phone on Amazon, at least in the USA. So it's a beautiful display for sure. Still looks really good in my opinion. So the real upgrade here is that the S23 is going to be brighter outdoors, if you're in direct sunlight, and also the 120 hertz. It just feels smoother. It's easier on the eyes. Definitely something that I really like. But the S10e is a very smooth 60 hertz phone as well too. So it just comes down to that. Do you want, the brighter display, 120 hertz? Do you care about that? As far as resolution and quality wise, they still pretty much look the same. All right, guys, let's talk about the specs a little bit more. We have the Snapdragon 8. Alright guys, let's talk about these specs a little bit more. We have the Snapdragon 855 on the S10e. We also have SD card support, like I said earlier, and they're 128 gigs and 6 gigs of RAM on the base model. We have the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 on here, and we also have 128 gigs and 8 gigs of RAM on the base model. You guys can see the big score difference here. And also there is something to note. The S10e last major OS update was Android 12.4.1. and it's currently getting security patches. You have a pretty long lifespan cycle on the S23. I believe it gets 4 years of major OS updates and 5 years of security patches. So that's also another bonus here. As far as the general speed, like I said, if you're not like a hardcore gamer, the Snapdragon 855 is still extremely efficient. As you guys can see here, it's pretty much neck and neck even with the newest chip. So it's very fast. You're not going to notice too much of a difference. And overall, just the animations are still pretty smooth on the S10e. It's not like it's lagging or glitching. I actually did a gaming test and it actually did a fantastic job with that. But like I said, as far as the speed difference, like I said, the 120 hertz plays a big role in making the phone appear smoother, and it's just easier on the eyes. Like I said, the S10e is still pretty smooth, but you can definitely feel that smoothness of the 120 hertz. I would say that's a big speed difference. Overall, there's not an actual speed difference when it comes to using the phone. Let's go ahead and launch PUBG here. Alright, so when we get into PUBG here, you can see on the S10e, we're actually able to play at HDR Extreme, and you can see it's still very smooth, guys. So like I said, I do have a full gaming test. It's still very smooth. The only thing is, it's a smaller phone, so when you're gaming, the battery will die quicker and stuff like that. So that's why with the S23, since the battery is more efficient, not the battery, but the chip is more efficient, it's just more ideal for gaming on this size, I guess. But like I said, if you're a casual gamer, you're not going to notice too much of a difference. Like I said, it really comes down to people who actually play games for a pretty long period of time. You'll really notice that difference. But, you know, if you're just a casual person, come in and play a couple games every now and then, you're not going to notice too much of a difference. Let's check out the speakers max volume, S23. Yeah, so the S10e actually sound better, right? Off the bat, I was actually surprised by that. It sounds more fuller. The bass is definitely hitting harder. It's close, but it's like noticeably louder. Like not noticeably louder, but it's noticeably fuller. Let me see if Dolby Atmos on. Yeah, so Dolby Atmos is on both. Yeah, I just think the S10e speakers sound better to me. They have a more fuller sound. The S23, it sounds good, but it's a little flat compared to the S10e. I'd definitely give it to the speakers, the S10e for sure. All right, so here is where I think the biggest upgrade is coming, and that is the camera. So I'm going to show you guys some side-by-side stills. But let's go over the specs. So the S10e has a dual camera setup. It's a 12 megapixel standard and then a 16 megapixel ultra wide. This phone does not have any type of telephoto lens, so all the zoom is digital basically. You also have 4K 60 video on here and a 10 megapixel selfie cam that shoots in 4K 60 as well. The S23, you do get that extra camera, and you also just get better specs. So you have a 50 megapixel standard lens, 10 megapixel telephoto lens that does 3x optical zoom, and then you also have a 12 megapixel ultra wide. This shoots in 8K 24, and then you also have, excuse me, not 8K 24, but 8K 30, and then you also have on here a 12 megapixel selfie cam that shoots in 4K 60 as well too. So check out these side-by-side stills. Here's the S23, 3x, .6, 12 times digital. Alright, here's the video on the S10e. Let's see what that looks like. And we have our 0.5. Let me know what you guys think. Alright, so lastly, let's talk about the battery life. You're getting a pretty nice battery upgrade here. So let's go over the specs. You have a 3900 milliamp battery on the S23, 20 watt, 25 watt charging on here, wireless and reverse wireless charging. On the S10, you do have on here a 3100 milliamp battery, 15 watt charging, wireless and reverse wireless charging. So basically, the S10e will get around 4 hours, 30 minutes screen on time. You're getting close to around 6 hours, if not more, on the S23. So this definitely can last you all day if you're a light user like myself. The S23, no matter how you use it, it pretty much lasts like 4 hours, max. So that's the only downside to this phone. It's because the battery is small, pretty much on here. And this just has a more efficient chipset as well too. So the battery upgrade you definitely will notice between these two for sure. You will get some extra juice and you will be able to get through a full day, I think, with the S23. So that's pretty much it, guys. Be sure to let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.